welcome to Cupcake Addiction's Hamburger Cake Pop tutorial, where I'll be showing you how to make this gorgeous little hamburger sandwich cake pop. For those of you that follow my channel MyCupcakeAddiction, Addiction, you will know that I'm a little bit obsessed with savoury food that's dressed up as sweets. Lots of tutorials on my channel for all sorts of goodies. Today we're doing the hamburger cake pops. Tools and equipment that we will be using today. I've got my polystyrene block, I'm just resting my pops in that today. I've got 3 Ziploc bags. I've got a pair of scissors, a couple of Lollypop sticks. I've got my pre-rolled cake pop ball. Now for those of you that don't have a great recipe for getting your cake pop balls rolled and ready to decorate, I will leave a link to our recipe and tutorial in the description box below. And I will mention that that is really quite firm. That's been refrigerated for about 15 to 20 minutes and it's really firm to touch. I've got 4 different colours of chocolate. So my main colour is white chocolate. This is 98% white chocolate with just, I think I put 4 little dark chocolate budlets in there, or dark chocolate melts, and that's just to give it that really hint of brown like a hamburger bun. I've got 3 different colour candy melts, so I've got red, green and yellow, and you don't need too much of each of those. 3 spoons and some sesame seeds. Let's get started. Now, as I mentioned, my cake pop ball is really nice and firm. The reason for that is we're going to take one of our spoons and we're just going to sort of hollow out a bit of a divot. This is going to be where our bits and pieces, so our meat and cheese and lettuce in the form of candy melts is going to go. So I'm just using the back of my spoon, but you could use the top of a knife or anything like that. And you just want to hollow out a little bit of a centre. So don't be too fussy about it, and once you're done, just roll it back in your hands just to take off any rough edges, but you should have something that looks like this. Now we want to take our cake pop stick and we're going to dip it in a little bit of that pale brown chocolate. Now look at your ball. If you've got a taller side, so a higher point and a lower point, you want the higher point on top and the lower half of the bun at the bottom. So I'm going to have a look at mine, see how I think it's going to look best. I'm going to put mine that way. So dipping your lollipop stick into that candy melt or white chocolate and just straight up into the centre of your hamburger. We're going to let that chocolate seal completely set, and then we'll come back to dip and decorate. Alright, so my chocolate seal is nice and set, which is exactly how we want it. It's time to dip. So just taking your cake pop, just dunk it down into that chocolate, allow that chocolate to flow up over that seal, and pull it out. Now you want to give it a nice tap off to get rid of any excess, and you want to make sure you're turning the cake pop as you're tapping. Alright, so your hamburger bun should be looking something like this. You can see we've got a little bit of an indent there where we've carved out that little centre area. Now take your sesame seeds while that's still wet and just sprinkle them just on the top half of the top bun only. If you love this tutorial, make sure that you head on over to our channel MyCupcakeAddiction and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more from us. We've got over 150 videos on our channel at the moment, and I'm sure you'll find something there that you like. Now that I've made a gigantic mess there with my sesame seeds, we'll pop that one over into the polystyrene block to start drying out, and we're going to get ourselves ready for our mustard and lettuce and, I guess, meat or beetroot, depending on what you want the red to be. So I start with the middle colour here, which I like to be red. I just like the way that it looks. So I'm going to take my Ziploc bag and I'm just going to spoon some of that red candy melt into the Ziploc bag. Push it all the way to the end. Now your actual cake pop doesn't have to be completely dry for this. You want it to be a little bit sort of starting to set. You don't want it to be still dripping, but it doesn't have to be completely dry. Taking your scissors, just snip off just a little corner there, and we're just fashioning that into a bit of a piping bag. And I start with the middle colour because we are going to let the middle colour completely dry, and then it won't run into our other 2 colours when we go to finish off with the yellow and the green. So you just want to take that Ziploc bag, and in about the centre of that little ridge that you've carved out, you just want to sort of just back and forward. And I make the red a little bit thicker than I make the other 2 colours. So I'm just running it around there, and I'm kind of moving the bag back and forth, almost like just a shaky hand kind of effect, and that's just so that it doesn't look too perfect. We don't want it to be a nice neat line. So at this stage you should have something that's looking like this. You now want to let that completely set, so we're just going to sit that back in the polystyrene block for about 5 minutes or so until that red candy melt and the rest of that chocolate has completely set, and then we'll be back just to finish it off. Alright, so I'm happy that that one's now completely set. So it's time to get our other 2 bags of candy melt ready. As with the last one, we're just going to open those up and spoon in a little bit of green and a little bit of yellow candy melt. So some yellow in this one. And a little bit of green in this one. Pushing those all the way down to the corner and then sealing up the bag. Make sure you squeeze all of the air out of it. Alright, now with these ones, I'm going to cut them really, really fine because we're going to do sort of a little squiggle detail. So just the tiniest little nick off the end of that bag. We're going to do a bit of a squiggle detail to give these a bit of texture. So for the top one, you can see here I'm just going to take that nice fine point and I'm just going to sort of just haphazardly squiggle it around and up and down. You want to overlap with that red layer. You can see there with that nice fine tip we're getting quite a bit of texture in there. And then we're going to do the same with our green. These are a really easy cake pop and they're really effective, but they do involve quite a few steps with all of the drying. So certainly a good one for parties, but do allow yourself a little bit of time to make them. Once again with the lettuce, and I like to make the lettuce really nice and squiggly. And also think about the different sizes of the layers. So I always like the red layer to be sort of my fattest layer in the middle there. And the lettuce is normally the thinnest, or the green, all the way around. So there you have your gorgeous hamburger sandwich cake pop. Perfect for your next barbecue or picnic or Superbowl event or just to surprise somebody with something that looks like savouries but tastes like sweet. As always, thanks very much for watching.